In the last chapter, Chapter 8, we looked at web servers, hardware and software, and client-server architecture. In this chapter, we're going to look at e-commerce, e-business software. So what do you need? And it basically goes from simple to very complex. We're working with small businesses, so we're going to be looking at more simple e-commerce or e-business software. But then as you get bigger, then you're obviously getting to much more complex software systems. And we start off with what they call web hosting alternatives. And again, if we're small businesses, we're not going to host it ourselves. But if we're an LLB or an Amazon.com, we're going to have our own dedicated in-house hosting. We're going to have our huge server farms and IT staff and so on. And then it goes down the continuum until it gets to us small businesses. We're not going to do that. We're going to outsource it. So the first question for us is, what kind of hosting do we need? And there's been kind of an evolution, kind of a blurring the lines of distinction. There's all those ones you've probably heard of, like GoDaddy.com and Bluehost and so on. But then we've been working with Wix.com, which is also a hosting alternative. So you kind of basically want to see, what do they offer? How much does it cost? Is it scalable? All kinds of issues like that. But let me start off real quick with a simple little video here.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? With Wix, you can create your own professional website.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Wilson, Senior Analyst, PCMag.com. If you're looking to build a website, you'll need a web hosting service. Warning, there are a lot of them. So what should you look for? You want features like unlimited email, unlimited monthly data transfers, lots of storage, and 24/7 customer support. PCMag's in-depth web hosting reviews are a great starting point for choosing a web host. More importantly, you also need to choose a type of web hosting. That's an easier decision to make, as there are three main hosting categories: shared, dedicated, and VPS. Shared hosting is the cheapest type of hosting available, as your site shares a server's CPU, RAM, and monthly data transfers with other sites. The upside? You can sign up for shared web hosting for less than $10 per month. The downside? Your site may be affected by other sites' traffic and usage patterns. On the opposite end of the spectrum is dedicated hosting. Leasing a dedicated server will cost you approximately $100 per month, likely more depending on the server's configuration. Dedicated hosting gives your site exclusive access to a server's resources, with the benefit being greater site reliability than what you experience with shared web hosting. You also have more control over the software that you can install. Finally, think of virtual private servers, or VPS hosting, as a shared and dedicated hosting hybrid. It's a virtual machine-like environment that mimics dedicated hosting while technically being shared hosting. VPS hosting is more wallet-friendly than dedicated hosting. It can cost as low as $20 per month, but some apps may have trouble running in a virtualized environment. VPS is a smart option if you don't want to spend a lot of money, but your site needs to handle high traffic volumes. For more on web hosting services, check out
he does a nice job. He does a nice job explaining that. For our small clients, we're using shared hosting. So, like I mentioned, you've heard of GoDaddy, and there's tons of these. The thing is that, what do they offer? So for websites, get a website builder. You can do an online store. There's some templates and so on. So very similar. But I have worked with WordPress in the past. It's a little bit more difficult to use. They do have some e-commerce. There are a lot of similarities, but some of these newer emerging ones, like we're using Wix and Weebly and so on, they're actually easier to use. They've got more of the drag and drop interface and so on. So, I mean, you can look at these, and the idea is that as managers, and in this consulting project, you want to compare features, flexibility, scalability, cost, security, uptime, and so on. But if you compare that with like what we've been doing with Wix, let me go into this site we were looking at. One thing I like about the Wixes and the Weeblys of the world, in addition to the ease of doing it, it seems like there's potentially a greater degree of scalability. But if you're looking at e-commerce, for example, you want to say, okay, so what is the capacity in terms of products. Is it like a maximum of 100 products or 1,000 products? And at what point, if I do grow into an LL Bean, how hard is it going to be to either scale or just shift to an entire new hosting platform? But one thing I do like about something like a Wix is, remember when we were doing the Wix instruction video? Let's see, let's say, well, let's just say, well, they have lots of online stores. So, online store. Okay, so what do they've got? So they've got all kinds here. There's Wix stores. Oops. I don't know what I did there. Let me just. Okay, here we go again. Oh, darn. I'm trying to scroll down to see the different stores, and it's not letting me. Oh well. Anyway, there's lots of online stores. If I go back and search for something like, let's say, procurement, no results. All right. How about logistics? No results. Okay, so it's all right. You can just see the limitations, and that's fine. And that's exactly what you're wanting to do, is to look for stuff like that. Okay. All right. Okay, so we talked about all this stuff. Scalability, downtime, capacity, and so on. Right, so actually, another alternative that you can look at if you're looking at e-commerce, because we did a lot with Wix. Oops, wrong one. But what's this here? Oh, the other thing is, don't forget about mobile apps. So, for example, there's all kinds of software development companies that can create apps for your business. So this one is, I think this is a Microsoft product actually. So I just wanted to remind you, as you're looking at different software solutions, don't forget about app development. Okay. But there's another class of e-commerce software that was built as a dedicated e-commerce store, like Volusion, for example. So there's Shopify. You've heard of some of these other ones. So this is just something else to consider when you're looking at the different hosting alternatives. Look at these, dedicated e-commerce websites, and they've got perhaps maybe they do have the logistics built into them. They've got perhaps different payment systems built into them. I don't know what they're doing with LegalZoom, but they may have some capabilities that something like a Wix might not. So the point behind this all is that when you're looking at your small business client, try to look at many different options. What are their needs, and what would be the best fit for them for what they can afford? This stuff, pricing is pretty reasonable, I think. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah. So again, 100 products versus 1,000 products versus 10,000 products versus unlimited products. Bandwidth, we've talked about bandwidth. Let's see, secure checkout. They don't say anything here about like the logistics or the payment and so on and so forth. But anyway, this is, oh, here we go. Here's some more. Ratings and reviews, Amazon integration. Now that's pretty cool. Amazon integration, CRM. That's really cool. Loyalty plans and so on. So again, without being too redundant, these are the kind of things that you're going to want to look at for your client. Okay, and in terms of trends, this particular article was talking about multi-site and automatic resource allocation, SEO optimization. Wait, let me actually go to that site. I pulled that up for you. Here we go. Okay, so this goes back to what we talked about a few chapters ago about engagement and making the experience compelling. Okay. Um, search engine optimization. They all say they'll do that, but you might want to dig for some statistics on how effective they are. This one was, in this particular article, this was interesting to me. By 2019, 20% of brands will abandon their mobile apps. That was odd. Instead, brands are adopting app-like approaches for a fraction of the investment support and marketing costs, and they've got different approaches to help customers within the websites where they spend most of their time. So anyway, just a few little trends there. Okay. All right, so let's keep going here. Okay, we talked about what do you need your site to do. If you're e-commerce, you need to do transaction processing, shopping, buying, inquiries. So you need that catalog display. Remember, client-server architecture. We need the shopping cart to check out. You need the transaction processing. In theory, it'd be nice if you could integrate it into your accounting system, into a CRM system. We'll get to that in a little bit. So that's kind of the basics for a small company. Once you get into a little bit bigger company, let's say, I want to show you this here. Let's say you are making little, how do I get out of this here? Oops. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay. Well, okay, I didn't want that paper. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, I can't get out of this, I'm sorry. But anyway, let's say you're making little moose things for LL Bean. Well, then there's this software that will allow you to integrate with LL Bean software so that you can be an integrated supplier. And it actually, I believe if we could have gotten out of here, it is actually free. But it's something that you would want to incorporate to become part of the LL supplier network. But I'm not going to go there. All right, so let me show you two other software solutions. Not that one. Okay, here's one. If you get to be a little bit bigger in your e-commerce space, it just offers, here, let me go into here. Okay, it does what most of the others do for the shopping experience. However, it actually adds in things like product information management, web content management, order management, CRM, and also can be used for B2B commerce as well. So it just adds a little bit layers. Hard to see this, but it adds more capabilities. Here we go. All right, good. So omni-channel management. Let's see, under experience management, search and navigation, campaign management, promotion engine, and so on and so forth. Under product information, catalog management, product pricing, taxation. Anyway, you can see that these are probably going to be much more sophisticated than just a simple online store that you'd get with Volusion or Shopify or a Wix online store. And then to get even more complexity, here's IBM's WebSphere Commerce. And this one, actually, let's see here, it's similar to the other one, but let's just look at this. So you've got order management, so that would be a whole procurement system. This is probably similar to that Intershop where it's got a lot more detail. Quotes, configuring, pricing. So it's just going to be a more sophisticated product as you grow bigger and you need more complexity. And then, actually, let me go to as you get bigger, you're going to want to look at things like CRM systems. And here's an example of a Salesforce is the biggest CRM software system, I think, in the world.
Shake, shake.
Okay, so companies like LL Bean, Amazon.com, they've got very sophisticated CRM systems that probably use something like Salesforce. And then as you get even more sophisticated, as you grow bigger, then you're going to want things like SCM, supply chain management systems. Let's see here. So you can see here, do you need manufacturing software? Do you need retail? Do you need distribution, logistics, and so on? So there's just so many software systems out there. Here's a little video about supply chain management software to give you an idea of if you get to a point where you're big enough to warrant this.
An important part of the revenues of home shopping, sales and marketing activities is determined by how efficient your product fulfillment is handled. As supply chains expand, turnaround times and mistakes increase and margins drop. To avoid unnecessary costs and delays, S&H has developed and optimized each element of the fulfillment process to a level that contributes to achieving an optimum process flow throughout the entire supply chain and between the individual participants. This allows our clients to focus on their market and sales, while the whole operational side of their activities are cared for and safeguarded. This starts with a professional order intake and continues all the way through to providing customer-friendly after-sales services. This way, each part of your process is closely monitored and coordinated, providing you with important real-time information and a total overview, keeping your supply chain functioning perfectly at all times.
Okay, so obviously, again, in LL Bean and Amazon, they use this kind of thing. They have to, they're so big. So when you get to that point, you really need really good customer relationship software. You need really good digital supply chain software. However, to conclude this, I want to go back to, where was it? ERP. That is, in a perfect world, especially for large companies, but also for even tiny companies like your clients, ERP is the software that integrates it all into one consolidated entity. And so if you are an LL Bean, you're going to have an ERP software. So your e-commerce site, you're taking orders across an omni-channel approach from social and mobile and traditional and phone and catalogs and in-store. So you've got an integrated omni-channel e-commerce software that captures it all. That would be integrated with a CRM so that you're capturing all the customer information as they place orders. You also have a supply chain system like the one we just saw, because you need to keep track of all your suppliers and where things are and placing orders and the procurement and the logistics. Where are they? How much is it costing you? All that kind of stuff. So an ERP, in theory, does all of that. And so let me just show you this little video as just an example of that.
Meet John. He's the COO at Fast Enterprises. His most important task is to compete against time to keep his customers satisfied, process orders quickly, and keep production lines busy. His biggest asset? Having the right business management tools in place. Some call this ERP. He calls it Sage X3. Sage X3 accelerates the entire business, from financial management to supply chain and production processes, all in one place, the cloud. Here's what really keeps John happy. Sage X3 keeps the books balanced across all lines of business. Even in complex organizations, it provides a real-time global overview while still accommodating local requirements. Sage X3 also covers the supply chain. It connects e-commerce and sales to the inventory, production, warehousing, and procurement, so John always has up-to-date distribution data close at hand. By managing his production entirely with Sage X3, John is able to keep up with demand easily. From production planning to managing the shop floor and ensuring quality, John has total control over the production line. And here's the best part. Sage X3 does all of this at a fraction of the cost of typical enterprise systems. In fact, it essentially paid for itself with a break-even period of only 5 months. That's Sage X3. Fast, simple, and flexible cloud software to help John's business compete in the fast economy. How can it help yours?
Okay, I think that did a good job of showing you, number one, about the value of integrating process, but number two, notice that this particular business appeared to be a manufacturing facility. So notice that the kind of software, even though they mentioned they did integrate with e-commerce software for his demand forecasting, what he was most interested in was the procurement and the logistics and the manufacturing software. So the moral of the story is that when you're researching software for your client, or maybe you're doing this where you work, take the time to really understand the user requirements. What is it they really need in a software? And then go out there and do your due diligence in searching for many different alternatives and which ones provide the best capabilities, the functions they need, user friendliness at a price they can afford. And also I always say, try to find an integrated system, sort of an ERP like system that might bring together all those different functions instead of many standalone systems that do not talk to each other. That would be your goal. So anyway, that is it for chapter 9, and I look forward to seeing you in the discussion forum.